Is what it is. Let me see. I saw a super chat come through. Oh, there we go. Mr. Alonzo, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. What's going on? What's the
I don't know.
topic for the day?
Well, the topic is that I'm a racist. I had to address because the mob squad's already out there. People are sending me all kind of video clips. They're getting like little 2 word segments of my stuff, and they're saying, "See, look what he said. He said the word. See, he said no reparations," and they're trying to push that in the, especially like in the Tariq Nasheed fucking realm. So I just wanted to have that conversation, and the reparation one came up because there was this young guy that hit me up earlier on Instagram, and he was all upset about it, and he was calling me a racist because I was against reparations, and I told my man, only because I disagree with you doesn't make me a racist. I just disagree with you. I
Well, let me
say,
ask you this:
yeah,
are you against reparations for other groups, and are you against reparations for groups that have already received reparations? Where you,
I'm against reparations across the board
so
because
so you were against Japanese receiving reparations for being interned?
I, at this point, it's over with. If I was back then, I think I could really answer that question. But now I'm like, you know what? It's like if that's the case, I think it'll be a slippery slope where all of a sudden we start going to, all right, then every Mexican American who could show that they were kicked out of here owes money. The Indians are still have all kind of treaties and lands that they're not getting their stuff back. It's just a slippery slope, and I believe at the end the taxpayer, and I'm coming at it as a taxpayer. That's the only thing I'm coming at it as a taxpayer. But I want to hear your take first about California slavery, because you said there was slavery in California.
Yes. Well, I said they participated in slavery.
Okay.
The main thing is that when blacks escaped from slavery down south in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and they came to California, the courts of California respected all the Fugitive Slave Act laws of the South and extradited those quote unquote free slaves
Oh shit.
back to the South. So there's no doubt California did play a role in the slavery during the 1850s and 1860s.
So I take it that you are for reparations.
I'm for reparations when any time a group has been oppressed and you could prove that oppression and you could trace that oppression to either its people or its descendants.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, how would reparations look? Because there was another guy who jumped in here. Hey, DT, thank you for that super chat. Let me read this real quick. Gaspar Yanga, African hero to Mexico, with his own statue in Mexico. Chicanos just don't know the history of Mexico very well. Yeah, we know that one, but you got to remember that the Gaspar also was the one that told I forgot who was he fighting with, the Spaniards at the time, that told that pretty much any other black people were coming, he wasn't saving them. He saved his people, but people try to make it a little bit different. But go ahead, Alonso. So what does reparations look like?
It looks like cash, just like
He used to give me that money.
yeah. I mean, it looks like the way it's always been done. I'm not requesting it in any particular way. But they
Right.
gave cash to the Japanese. I mean, you're saying in 1948 we should have never given the Japanese anything. I'm saying no, they deserved every penny they got.
Um,
Germany,
see,
Germany gave the Jews cash. You're saying that the Jews shouldn't have got anything from the German government for those 2 or 3 years of oppression. That was
well,
only 3 years of. How long was the Holocaust in Germany?
well, it went like 5 years, no?
Okay, 5 years. How long was slavery in the United States?
Ooh, it's still going on, my man. It's called prison.
Well, I'm talking about the actual chattel slavery and slave slavery, physical free labor from a
Yeah,
particular
400
group.
years and change.
Yeah, 300 plus years.
Yeah.
The United States gave reparations to blacks during the Tuskegee experiment, which was a 40-year experiment where they were testing syphilis remedies.
Right, right.
Did, they,
That's
did those
horrible.
did those people deserve the money that they got from the government?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so.
Rosewood, and was this town in Florida. John Singleton did a great movie about it, where whites came in there and decimated that town, took all its value away. Did the descendants of Rosewood deserve those reparations?
I believe so. And just like the one they did over here in the beach where they gave it back. But uh,
Yeah,
but
Manhattan
okay.
Beach.
Then the same thing would go for maybe I'm looking at it because it would be like then the Dodger Stadium needs to give that land back to the Mexican community that it was stolen from, Chavez Ravine,
Absolutely.
or get paid some money.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that the way that they leveled out Chavez Ravine back in the 50s, using government and eminent domain. But here's the thing: they did give money back then for eminent domain.
Oh,
They
but it
didn't
was
just
nothing.
take the land away and give nothing.
Oh
but there were
no,
those.
the money was nothing though. It was pennies to what that place was worth.
It was some landowners that did not want to leave and they were forced out. But someone could look that up. In the 1950s, how much money did they give
Uh,
for?
I'm not sure, but I know there were some people that didn't want to leave, and they did bamboozle them. They told them they're gonna make new housing over there, and once the housing is done, they had the model and everything. We're gonna let people come back in here. And me personally, I think they knew all along exactly what that place was gonna be, and they just kind of faked the funk and kicked everybody out.
Yeah, but nothing compares to the 300 plus years of chattel slavery in the United States, which was sanctioned by the government and supported by almost all the states of the Union, even the states that didn't participate directly into slavery. So,
But isn't I mean, if you look at the history of the world, wasn't that just the norm of the world, and we're trying to put today's standards back then? Because there was slavery between let's say Aztec and Mayan tribes. There was slavery between African American tribes. There was slavery all over the world at the time. So doesn't that just kind of say, all right, we're gonna go back now and we're gonna give all this money? Because if that's the case, I mean, dude, I think we'll be in the trillions.
well, a lot of countries have. My lineage goes back to slavery, but under the Dutch government. Do you know that
Right.
the Dutch government has given reparation? Any government that has benefited from slavery either has already paid reparations or should. Now you're talking about Aztec and Mayans. You're talking about there's no government now that you can say.
No, I
um,
know, but I'm just saying how populations back then, because like how they say they're taking names off of schools because this guy's a every if you put today's standards to back when this country began, everybody's a racist. But in that reality, that was just the norm.
Well, a lot of governments have paid. Most of all the European governments, from Portugal to the Dutch, including the United States, have already paid out reparations. So
Right.
I don't think asking for reparations is anything unusual or nothing that these countries have not already been paying out in the form of hundreds of millions of dollars. Hey, this whole COVID relief money that we got in 2020 is an exam. That's a reparation in a sense.
Right.
We got free money. We got
Yeah,
free
but
money
we,
during COVID.
we made a bunch of lazy ass people that didn't want to work, homie. I had homies fucking taking like 2 years off, carnal. They're getting that free check, and look at look at our inflation. But that's a whole different discussion. But you know what, Alonzo, I want to tell you something right now. When you were saying about the Japanese, it's not the Germans, because I haven't really gone, but I did go to one of those Japanese encampments, right? And it was freaky, eerie as hell. And when you brought that up, that kind of also, I'm like, all right, well, yeah, when you say that, I see the Japanese, and yeah, they definitely should have got something back. So, I mean, to be honest with you, Alonso, you kind of changing my mind by saying that, man, because I think sometimes, a lot of times, where we sit from, we don't empathize a lot of times with somebody else of this culture, and I could see something like that. I would just be, more. I don't want to see what it looks like. I wouldn't want to just be fucking crazy, and then everybody just say they want an outrageous shit going on.
And there's ways to figure this out in a logical sense using history, using previous reparation payouts. Right now, the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which denied for many decades that they even oppressed the black people in that city. There's talks about all the descendants from Tulsa receiving reparations for what the city of Tulsa allowed a whole bunch of white people to do back in 1922.
Was that the massacre?
Yeah.
Tulsa massacre, yes.
And I remember when I was a student in the 1990s in college, I would talk about the Tulsa riots. And at that time, the internet was just being born, and a lot of people were denying that the Tulsa riots even occurred in the first place. And
Right.
that's one beautiful thing about the internet, is that you could you could unbury what
Yes.
the government has tried to bury. 100 years ago, the government didn't realize, there's going to be a thing called the internet that's going to come out, and it's going to revolutionize the way information is spread going into the 2000s. And Tulsa, definitely, I believe those people of Tulsa, Oklahoma, deserve reparations, but they're in the early stages of it, talking about it right now.
Yeah. Uh, I would still, like I was telling the homie Hoodie Hood, man, I would still also would want it to be a federal thing if it was it, because I think, like I said, California trying to do that reparations. they're just full of shit.